Okay, welcome, folks who are on the line. Appreciate you attending. This is the May, or actually, yeah, the May New Mexico Drought Monitoring Work Group call, and this is Dave Dubois down in Las Cruces, and we'll go around the around the call. Just announce who you are, and just so we know who's on the call today. Thanks.
Good morning. This is Susan Rich with New Mexico State Forestry.
Ollie Reed, Albuquerque Journal.
Julie Valdez, Office of the State Engineer.
Hi, this is Mary Ewell with the BLM.
This is Chris Haynes with the NRCS.
Dave Simmerall, Western Regional Climate Center.
All right, is that all on the line? Then we've got folks in the Albuquerque Weather Service office. I think we have Sean and Dee and Brian, is that right?
Yes.
All right. Well, again, welcome. And I think Chuck had some unfortunate happen with his ankle, or what happened to?
He had a traffic accident
Oh.
on the way home from work and broke his knee.
Oh, no, that's terrible.
Yeah, we're all injured up here.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but he's recovering.
Okay. Well, thanks, Brian, for getting the PowerPoint ready, and those who contributed. And we'll get started with the Weather Service weather and climate outlook and drought status. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, thank you, Dave. So just to note in the beginning here, I modified the format of the talk, so if there's any issues with not being able to see anything clearly in the text or the font, just let me know and we can make some changes. So, okay, we'll move forward here. This is our May 26th Drought Monitor Work Group meeting, and we have good news. The weather has been cooperating with us. So we'll just start out looking at what's been going on more recently for the first 3 or so weeks of May, and as many of you know, it's been raining quite regularly across the vast majority of New Mexico, with the exception of the southwest corner. So the top left image is the precipitation totals for the month. Really a tale of two stories. You've got very dry conditions across the southwest, but the remainder of the state is quite wet. The bottom right image is percent of average precipitation for the first 3 weeks, and many areas are 300 to 400% of normal. And at this point, we're starting to see flooding across parts of the state, particularly around the area from Portales, Clovis, north to Tucumcari, and around Clayton, where some folks have picked up on the order of, say, 8 to 10 inches of rainfall. So this is really good, and this is what we were looking for when we showed some of the climate outlooks back a few months ago. I'm going to skip looking at the basin-wide snow maps because at this point, all of the snow is relegated to the very high terrain. But the good news, too, is that we've had cool weather, and the snow does continue to accumulate at some of the very high elevations. So if you were to look at some of the basin reports, you would see kind of crazy numbers like 500% of normal, 900% of normal snowpack for some of these areas, but it's just focused on a couple of the snow tells. So the snow depth in some of the Sangres areas are more than 2 to 3 feet still. And I looked at the snowwater equivalent report yesterday for the Taos Powderhorn snowtell, and it said that there was more than 20 inches of liquid water still in the snowpack up at those elevations, and that was the highest one. Then you had to get up into the San Juans of Colorado to see numbers on the order of 20 to 30 inches. So we're going to see temperatures warm up this week, and we'll probably start losing some of that snowpack. We had a report around Red River that some of the creeks there were running high along the campgrounds. So, yeah, there's definitely water in the rivers again, and most folks have noted some rises on even the Rio Grande. So for April, look back to last month, the average precipitation for the state was 0.05 of an inch above normal, and the majority of that above normal was focused in the southeast. So numbers were on the order of 150 to 250% of normal across the southeast and the eastern plains, and so that held the majority of the average, while much of the rest of the northern and again the southwest part of the states were dry. And then we saw pockets of near normal to above normal precipitation across portions of central and northwest New Mexico. So precipitation coverage during April was more spotty, and we only had a few events, the biggest event occurring towards the end of the month. We'll go through these curves that we show here typically. So for April 2015, precipitation rank was 36th wettest, and again, 0.05 above normal. So the last time we were above normal for the April period was back in 2010. If we break this down by climate division, this is slightly different. The skip page has been revamped, and it's more GIS-centric now, so I had to kind of break things out, and I organized things in percent of normal. So climate division 8, which is here across the southern part of the state, seeing the greatest percent of normal, and that really is mostly because of the eastern parts of that area. And again, the west was really quite dry. Climate division 4, 78% of normal, and then climate division 2, like we saw in those previous graphics with lots of brown, was only 61% of normal. So again, 5 out of the 8 climate divisions seeing above normal precipitation for the month of April. If we look at the calendar year, we're at 141% of normal for the January to April period, with the bulk of the heavier precipitation across the east and portions of the south. And we'll take a look here at the calendar year rank, 87/100ths above normal, which is the 22nd wettest. So again, the last time we saw precipitation above normal for the 5-month period, for the 4-month period, was back in 2010. For the water year, things continue to look good. We're at 108% of normal, and again, just really about everybody to above normal. Some amounts for the water year include 3 to 6 inches across Socorro, Sierra County, and then really nice numbers here in the southeast. We did have several heavy precipitation events during the winter, and then again here this spring. So how does that look in terms of rank? We're 41st wettest with 43/100ths above normal for the statewide average. And you have to go back to 2010 again for above normal precipitation for the water year. Now if we look at the 12-month period, we're 1.84 inches above normal for the statewide average. And again, 2010 was the last time we were above normal for the 12-month period. Again, 24-month looking good. We finally pulled out of this really terrible drought that we've seen across here, the state for the last few years. And still for the statewide average, finally above normal. But when we go back to the 36th month, we start pulling in some extremely dry years, and we're just a little over 4 inches below normal for the state. And then if you go back even farther to the 48-month period and the 60-month period, we continue to be very dry. So if we continue to see wet conditions through this year, some of these numbers will improve as we go forward in time. Okay, we'll switch gears and show the NASA Sport list. This is the column relative soil moisture back on April 21st. So this would be the 1-month difference. And the majority of the state did dry out compared to where we were at the end of March. But these numbers are still, not too terribly bad. But if we look into May, you can see this really significant change with soil moisture from April. So much of the northern and central part of the state continuing to moisten up the soils. Now we can look at this in a different way, and Deirdre put this slide together. This is the scanned soil moisture percent at Sevilleta, and this goes back to 2010. So the green line is the soil moisture, the mean soil moisture in the 8 inches, and the blue line is the hourly soil moisture percent at 20 inches, going back to 2010. And so these gray bars are the 30-day average for the April-May period, and the numbers they're annotating that are the corresponding value for the average. So really what we're showing here is that even though we've seen improvements in our precipitation across the area, we still haven't recovered to the pre-drought level. So here at 20 inches, our soil moisture percent was 15, and while we're increasing from 2013 to 2014 to 2015, we're still not near where we were before this multi-year drought took shape. Again, we're looking pretty good at the 8-inch, but still it's been back since 2012 where we saw values that were better than that. So we're making improvements, but still not quite where we were. So what does all this mean? Many of you probably noted there were some significant changes on the drought status on May 21st. We removed all of eastern New Mexico from moderate or greater drought. So just some abnormally dry conditions persisting across the northeast, and even a few areas within the Rio Grande Valley and up around the Santa Fe area and the Estancia Basin pulled out of D2. So this is the first time, if we take a look at New Mexico closer, this is the first time that we saw coverage of moderate to severe drought since 2010, less than 37%. So we're doing quite well with all the precipitation that we've seen. And there still is 13% of the state in severe drought up across the northwest. I imagine if we continue to see good precipitation numbers up in the northwest for the coming months, we'll begin to see some changes there as well. The southwest, not much improvement. And in fact, if we look at the 3-month change across the southwest, there has actually been some deterioration in that area. So no extreme drought again since March 3rd. And as I noted, the last time moderate to severe drought was less than this 37% was on December 10th of 2010. Okay, so now we'll move into our the weather and climate outlooks. So I think folks were getting a little bit nervous here earlier in the spring about what was going to happen with the condition of the equatorial Pacific. But if you note here on these charts, things are looking quite good. The bottom left is the 3-month loop of the sea surface temperature anomalies, and what we would expect to see for an El Niño state has developed, and there is an El Niño advisory that has been in place. So the 4-week change really shows what's happening with the anomalies reaching over 1, and in some cases even 2, and I think there may be even a 2.5 here off the coast of South America. And if we break it out into regions, here you can see this Niño 3.4 region at 1 degree Celsius departure from climatology. So all the regions showing positive anomalies. So clearly we are experiencing that El Niño condition now. If we look at early May CPC and the IR consensus, boy, it's clear. We've got 90 to 95% chance of El Niño conditions through the summer. And as we go through the autumn, still very high probabilities, near 85% of El Niño conditions through the autumn. And the forecast consensus here showing not much change really with the CPC average here in this kind of pink line. Still showing values to reach above 1.5 as we progress through the late summer and the fall. So that would be moderate strength El Niño. But note some of the dynamical models showing conditions even stronger than that. So the table indicating here these greater than 90% of probabilities for El Niño through the summer, and quite high values as we go through August as well. And we continue to show good news here. CPC precipitation outlook for June, favoring above normal probabilities across the majority of New Mexico, unfortunately not in the southwest. Really just the entire southern United States up into the central Rockies, and I'm sure folks in Texas are not really looking forward to this with all the flooding they've recently had. And of course, with the potential for above normal precipitation comes the potential for below normal temperatures across much of Texas and eastern New Mexico through June. So like the last few years where we've seen blowing dust, dry conditions, temperatures topping out 100 degrees for many, many days in a row, that may not be the case this year. And as we look through the summer, June through August, pretty much the same. We focus the potential for above normal precipitation across more into the Rockies, and this will be our more typical monsoonal type pattern across our area. Again, below normal temperatures being favored across at least the eastern half of the state for the summer period. And again, like we showed in the last month's meeting, a sneak peek through the fall and the winter. September through November, the probabilities of above normal precipitation shift westward into Arizona and New Mexico. And then for the winter period, again, the southwest and much of the southern United States. So we could see an active storm track again through fall and the winter seasons. And as we'd expect, the seasonal outlook for drought for the next month or two, looking at improvements across much of the area that's seen severe to exceptional drought here farther to our east, and then even across New Mexico. This area in the northwest, it shows that drought remains but improves, so that's good. So with that, we'll show the most recent drought map for the region and open it up for discussion or move on to our next talks. That's all we have here, Dave.
Thanks, Brian.
Sorry I called in late. This is Curtis McFadden, Army Corps of Engineers.
Hi, Curtis. Yeah, we're looking at some where we want to go this week, or even thinking through the following week if we haven't get a consensus this week. We've got improvements to D0 over most of the area, or D nada over areas where we had a lot of rain. I think we should keep the one on in the southwest. I don't think we should do any changes there. So what are your guys' thoughts on the central to north? Through Sandoval, Santa Fe, Rio Arriba. Basically that transition.
Looks really good.
That transition from that D0 to 2 along that area.
Yeah, I'm sort of wondering about this area down here. Is that a reflection maybe of precip analyses, or?
Yeah, I was wondering about that too.
Really been?
Because that's in the area. It's in the shadow, and there's not a lot of. We've got a couple Kokoraz observers in that general area, but not much going on. That's something I can ask. I'll ask our El Paso office.
And almost some of this area up in here, I could see even pulling out a T0.
Yeah, through up by Tucumcari and even further. Yeah, no, I agree. I think we pay attention at that area up the far northeast.
And then in the southwest, I hesitate to say it could almost even be expanded a little bit because it's been very dry down there.
Yeah, we've got.
So for those folks, they haven't had hardly any. They're looking at the rest of the state, thinking, "Wow, everyone else is getting the precip, and we're still quite dry."
Exactly. Yeah, I've been working out along I-10, and there's a lot of. It's actually you mentioned the windblown dust issues in the past years up in the Northeast, but it's actually moved to the Southwest. We're working with the BLM and the NRCS on dust mitigation on that area because we've had a lot of dust episodes blowing across I-10. But I think, we should look at that little corner of Southwest Chavez. It's a little odd. But any other concerns?
Hey, this is Dave Summerall.
Yeah, Dave.
Hey, just to comment, have you guys taken a look at the groundwater watch, the USGS groundwater watch at all? There's still a lot of below 10 percentile in groundwater in the eastern part of the state, showing up in Clovis and some other down by Hobbs as well. I don't know if you guys have taken a look at that.
Yeah, we'll need to look at that.
Also seeing some obviously along up by Santa Fe as well.
Yeah, for the Santa Fe area, I just spoke with a gentleman out in southern Santa Fe County last week, and he was out digging a trench on his ranch, and he said that down to about 8 inches, the clay was wet. So I don't know. That's not an exact number. It's more of a qualitative report. But he did note right about 8 inches is where he hit hard, dry clay. Whereas last year he said there was just nothing.
Interesting. Yeah, thanks for that.
So I did enter that into the drought impact report.
Great. Yeah, I think we can talk offline on how we want to address the groundwater when we have. I mean, it's the same issue we've been dealing with with a lot of short-term impacts, but then we still have, even if we have 400% of normal, we'll likely still have groundwater issues. So we'll have to grapple with that as well. I know Texas has wiped clean a lot of the. I was looking at Nielsen Gammon's report from Drought Monitor. So I was just looking at that, how it's changed on the other side in Texas. So yeah.
I've missed your last few calls. I was wondering what you guys, you've got a lot of no drought or abnormally dry, and just looking at your reservoir conditions aren't that much improved. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the Pecos is doing really well. That is I don't know if Raymond is on.
I could speak up to that.
Okay, Curtis.
This is Curtis McFadden, Army Corps of Engineers. Eastern New Mexico really is faring well. We increased out of Santa Rosa 15,000 acre-feet of water within this past week, and there's still a lot of snow up in the mountain. Well, I mean, there's a good amount of snow left up in the mountain. And in the Rio Grande, we're out of Article, I believe it's Article 7.
Right.
And so we're able to store up north, and we're actually transferring water down south. So things are looking good in the southern part of the Rio Grande compared to, the past 5 years down south. So there have been some weather in that area, and I know that folks in Las Cruces appreciate that every so often getting those rainstorms. So, but the eastern New Mexico, this is even going to the Canadians. Canadians getting pretty good rain as well.
But I think the allocations are still very low in terms of like I was trying to keep track of the Elephant Butte Irrigation District, and I think they're not doing a whole lot of improvements in what the farmers are getting. If I'm not mistaken, I think there were eight acre inches, potentially up to 10.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And normally there's a lot more than that. Was it 36? So there's a hesitation on saying that it's really peachy. I know what you mean, Curtis, but
Yeah.
But you're exactly right on the east side. I mean, I think we've been really well since the tropical systems have filled our cups back in 2014.
I think the reason why they're making it a short one so they can have an irrigation season a little bit longer.
Right.
I know in the year last year they had about 2 months of irrigation releases, and they're going to try to make it 2.5. So I guess that's a bright spot in that.
Yeah. I think they're starting in June. I forget what day now. I don't know if you heard any.
They actually already started.
They started. Okay,
They started releasing last week.
Okay. Very good.
And I know San Juan's still not doing all that great, so all that San Juan Chama water was affected this year still on the Rio Grande.
Yeah.
So, Dave, since Raymond's not here, if you want, I could give you reservoir totals when I give my presentation.
Okay. Yeah. We can when we get to the state engineer, we can do that. That sounds great.
I can do it as well if
Okay.
you want me to.
Well, I think we can combine whatever Julie doesn't mention. You can fill in. Does that sound good?
Okay. That works. I won't mention Navajo.
We'll mention Navajo. Okay.
Even though it's on our website, I won't mention it.
Oh, okay. I know what you mean. Yeah. That's all right. So I think right now we don't have any concrete things for Dave. Are you the drought author for next week, or
No.
Who's doing it this week?
That's a good question. Let me take a look. Hold on.
So Brad was last week, right? Brad Ripley. No, who's doing it this week? Guess we can summarize some of our ideas on potential areas of concern with the Southwest Chavez.
Yeah, it's Brad this
Is it
week
Brad?
as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we won't dwell as much. We don't have any concrete things to mention, but other than to look at the Far East and this southern, and keep the Southwest status quo in that area. I think, or even potentially even expand out a bit. So any other last minute things you want to say on that for next week? Or this week, actually. Okay. All right. So I don't think Raymond is on the call, right? So we'll.
Yeah, I can read the numbers for you if you guys want.
And I don't think did Chris, are you on? Chris Haynes?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. So do you have an update on with the Snowtel or any other item that you'd like to cover?
Not really. Brian pretty much covered most of the stuff I was going to go over. You know, he's talking about the snow up in the higher elevations and the Cinco de Cristos, in late May. And it's kind of slow melt off due to the weather. And now it's, it's going to warm up. And You're seeing that in the rivers right now, but he pretty much covered everything I was going to talk about.
Okay.
Unless anybody has any other questions.
No.
No?
Do you guys want me to read the reservoir numbers?
Sure. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that, Curtis?
All right. On the Rio Grande, we have Potoro at 11,829 acre-feet of water. Heron content is 91,241 acre-feet. Elvado, 110,210 acre-feet of water. Abiquiu, 126,843 acre-feet. Coach Deep, 49,618 acre-feet of water. And Elephant Butte content shows 394,748 acre-feet. And Caballo at 52,427 acre-feet of water. Currently, right now, operations in the Rio Grande, they're transferring some water out of Elvado down to Elephant Butte. And currently our release out of Cochi is about 3,300 CFS, and so that's making its way down to Elephant Butte. That's also going to help us with the spawning effort for the minnow. So the flows are going to be high throughout this week until we actually taper down at Cochi. Some of that is also snowmelt runoff, and as well as the rainstorms of last week. And on the Pecos, we have Santa Rosa at 90,292 acre-feet of water. Sumner Lake, 35,869 that's acre-feet. And Brantley, 76,752 acre-feet of water. So Pecos is doing really well, actually. They're still trying to clear Red Bluff storage so we can actually transfer some water, hopefully at the beginning of next month in July. And this is unappropriated floodwaters that was stored last September. But right now, because of the rain in Texas, they're kind of slow on releasing water out of Red Bluff, Texas. So if you have any questions, I can feel free to answer as best I can, actually.
I hear silence.
Silence. I mean, I did a good job.
Yeah, awesome.
Or I made everything confusing.
No, you did great. Thanks, Curtis. Much
You're welcome.
appreciated. All right, is Anne Marie on the call? Didn't hear. No, I'll take that as a no. All right, Julie, you want to hop on, and I think Brian's got getting the PowerPoint up and running.
Okay. Okay, so this is the OSD's report. The data we got. Next slide. So everything is current storage as of Molly prepared the report on Friday, which was May 22nd. So we got our data, of course, always from the USAC preliminary data for current storage May 22nd, and for the previous month was April 20th for all reservoirs except Ute, and we got that stuff. The Ute reservoir, I believe we get that from the USGS website, and then NRCS. Next slide. So the green dotted line is going to be last month's level. The blue is current, and the yellow is last year's. Next slide. So Navajo actually had a slight increase from last month, and I wanted to point out from last year it's doing a lot better. From last year, it's gone up 167,000 acre feet. So we're doing a lot better than we did last year in Navajo. A little bit better from last month. We had an increase of 48,000 acre feet for Navajo. Next slide. Ute Reservoir had a slight increase from last month. I won't go over the number. A small increase from last year. Next slide. Santa Rosa, small increase from last month, and from last year as well. It's only about 13,000 acre feet above last year's. Next slide. Sumner had actually, I'm showing that had a slight decrease, and I'm guessing it's because they're releasing water for irrigation. I don't know if anyone knows anything different, but I'm showing it had about 8,000 acre feet less than last month, and it's about where it was last year, not a whole lot different. I think last year it's 2,000 acre feet less than last year. Next slide. Okay, Brantley. I'm showing a slight decrease from last month, but overall from last year, it's a big improvement. Approximately 60,000 acre feet more than we had last year. Next slide. I think they're still holding water in that reservoir, from my understanding. Heron is doing a little bit better than last month, approximately 17,000 acre feet more, but it's not. It's just slightly below what it did last year. I think the reservoirs up north, like Heron, Elvado, and Abiquiu, are still not doing as well as some of the others in parts of the new state. Next slide. Although Elvado does have a lot more than it did. It has 47,000 acre feet more than it did last month, and last year it has a slight increase as well from last year, so Elvado is doing better. Next slide, please. And Abiquiu, I think because of the release, it has approximately 2,000 acre feet less than last month, and approximately 20,000 less than last year at the same time. Next slide. And Elephant Butte is showing a slight increase, only 3,000 from last month, but from last year, almost 30,000 acre feet more. And the next one, please. And Cambayo is just a little bit better than it was last month, 10,000 acre feet more, and slightly 7,000 less than last year. And I believe that's my last one. The next slide will just show the storage level numbers, which are a little bit different than what Curtis gave, because I think Curtis's were probably more current than what mine were, but they're not too different. That's all I have. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, on the Sumner storage, they were releasing winter storage out of Sumner.
Okay.
And so when you did your report last month is right before they started releasing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Thanks, Julie. Any questions for Julie? Okay. Alrighty, moving on to the next report. Is Les or Ryan on the call? Haven't heard from Les. No, I guess not. Okay. We'll see if we can get some stats from those guys. And I didn't hear if FSA is on the call. Either Joylyn or Emelita. Nope, I guess not. Alrighty, that brings us down to anything else that needs to be. Do you have any other reports or notices of anything? Now's the time.
I can
Go ahead.
I can do a quick
Susan? Yeah.
quick state forestry. I did send it out just recently, like in the last few minutes, to Brian to distribute. For calendar year to date, we've had 134 fires in New Mexico, affecting 8,491 acres, and that's just on state and private land, which is what we track. We don't track the fed fires. The 7-day outlook is for little to no risk for significant fire activity, and in general, with the continuation of the current weather patterns, that'll temper the fire potential for the foreseeable future. We, sometimes the fine fuels and the way they dry out differently across the state kind of complicates it, with some areas with the green up having lower fire potential, and as things cure out, it goes up. Southern New Mexico, southwest New Mexico, is probably where we're going to have the highest concerns for human-caused fires on warmer and windier and drier days. But there's limited fine fuels in a lot of that area, so that's not a big concern. I sent the report that I sent out has maps showing the potential and the fire for the fire danger and the observed fire danger class, so you can take a look at those. This month I also got an update on forest health besides wildfire issues, and we'll be starting to get those monthly from Tom Ziegler, our entomologist. So I'll give you a little, I'll read you what he wrote. Uncommonly high precipitation this spring is excellent for New Mexico's short-term forest health. We've been, I'm ad-libbing here, we've been hit hard in some areas with different bugs, especially defoliators up north. So here in New Mexico, we have a bimodal distribution of precip with spikes in the winter and the summer monsoons. Trees suffered during the warm and dry spring because of the timing of seasonal drought. Coincides with bark beetle and defoliating insect emergence and attack. Our recent moistures are relief after the recent persistent years of drought. We have a poor environment here in New Mexico for the fungal pathogens that are a high concern in other areas because the conditions required for reproduction or infection aren't present here in the spring or fall. But during this wet spring, Tom's had a lot of requests to come and look at plants that are suffering from fungal infections like needle cast fungi and rust and stuff. There's nothing that's been particularly lethal or aggressive, though, it's just unusual to see fungal issues here the way we've been seeing them this year. And the only insect that's popping up is pinon needle scale. So if you look at the report when it gets to you, you can see a couple of graphics that Tom provided talking about drought and precipitation, and the way he sees it, his wording is, he likes to look at the spring as a freebie, much like catching a fish while dangling an unbaited, unattended hook over the side of the boat while busy with some other task. I kind of like to do that. Yeah. So anyway, take a look at that when it comes to you. I attached those some links to other sources on the predictive services for wildfire, and I thought Tom had one for forest health, but I guess he doesn't. And then there's a link for our information officer, and I'll keep that every month at the end of our report. Next month I'll try to get it out ahead of time.
That's awesome. Thanks, Susan. Any questions for
Sure.
Susan? Great. So I apologize, Susan. I'll add you on the agenda. I'll give you a slot in here. I know I was going to do that last month, but so we'll put you in.
That's fine.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other topics? Okay.
Hey Dave, this is Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Albuquerque. Chuck had mentioned to me that there was some progress on the Drought Task Force meeting,
Oh, okay.
but I don't have any details. Does anyone else know anything about that? I think he said sometime in June or July.
I'll check with Molly and see if she's heard back from the state engineer. I don't know that she has or has not.
Yeah, that's good. Julie, can you check on that? See when what the interest and when that we can have that.
Okay, I'll check and then I'll have Molly send out the emails to you, Dave, or to the whole group.
Yeah, you might as well send it to the whole group. I think it'd be good to let folks know what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, sooner the better, I guess, because things start to fill up in schedules.
Okay, I'll have her check and then hopefully, if she's had an answer, she'll send something out. But my guess is she hasn't because I've been CC'd on some of those emails and I haven't seen anything come through.
Yeah, I guess if we had a choice, I don't know if there is a choice. I would rather have it a little later, and just to see how if we were to have it in July, what do you think, Brian? Just to see the start of the monsoon.
I mean that's fine. That's fine with me. Like I said, like you were mentioning, the earlier that we know, the better, so that we can work out our schedule.
Yeah, or even if it's August.
Okay, so did you mean the end of July or the beginning of July? Sorry.
Probably the end, because at least we'll get a sense of what's going on with the monsoon. How is it ramped up, and things forming. Any big moisture surges? Fingers crossed.
Okay, I'll have her suggest that.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be nice to have it at end of July or even in August to see if early August would be another potential.
Okay.
So if we do go end of July, then would that be something where we could forgo the drought meeting and then just have the Drought Task Force kind of just replace that?
We could.
Or would we still do both?
Well, in the past we've done both.
Okay.
Just as a kind of a dry run of what we want to talk about at the task force.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so that's our to do is follow up on that, see if we can get a task force schedule, and so for next month, what do you guys think about the schedule? We've got the outlooks coming out on June 18th. That's the Thursday. I see you guys got a calendar up here.
I'm the 23rd is fine if we keep it.
23rd.
How we've been doing it. That's fine with me.
Okay.
I'll have a little bit of a short turnaround, but that's not too much of an issue.
It's okay with me.
The June 23rd work for everybody?
It'll work for a state engineer.
Okay.
Works for me.
Very good. So we'll do it at 10 a.m. I will be on the call. I will be in New Jersey. This the state climate meeting, but I'll be online. So we'll do next call is June 23rd, Tuesday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Alrighty, folks. Thanks for your reports and participating. And we'll circulate out any other reports that come down the line. All right. Thank you. See you guys later.
Thanks, Dick. Bye.
Bye.
Good night.